Hello and greetings, everyone. It is GleeCon back again with another episode of Lore of Warcraft. On our last episode, we played some World of Warcraft Classic with our priest. So, well, that involved dying a lot and sucking. Something that I took for granted as just being a nice stroll through a cave, a mine, and some farms turned into just a repeated death fest as a cleric. Different playing experience, definitely beginning game there. We've also been reading the Dungeons and Dragons World of Warcraft experience with some of the revamped books. This one's called Lands of Mystery, and it is written from the perspective of Bran Bronzebeard, and it's talking about all the zones except for the Eastern Kingdoms because that was covered in another book. And this one is really we're taking an in-depth look. We're on to the last one, the last zones in Northrend. And so stay a while as we continue that journey with the Dragonblight. This is, we've had a couple small zones in a row. This is a normal zone. It's considered a horde zone at this point in the game. I disagree. I would call it a neutral zone is what you would have to call it now. It's only got a population of 800. It is primarily Nerubian. That's true. They have some Tauren and Scourge. That's actually true as well. And then Blue Dragon, and actually that's been revamped to be All Dragon. The Dragonblight is a depressing sight. Once this region was a thriving land, the most fertile in Northrend after the Sholazar Basin. That was long ago. Now it is a vast wasteland where even the snow and ice seem drained. Most of the Dragonblight is a single enormous valley, and it's filled with bodies. Not just any bodies either. These are dragons. Ailing and old dragons from every dragonflight from all over the world come here to die. Okay, that's still true. The ground is littered with dragons of all colors. Black and red and green and blue and bronze. They all lie here together, all their differences set aside in death. The mightiest creatures in the world laid low by age and illness and attack. The land has never recovered and never will. It weeps for its lost children and remains barren in their memory. While I was here, I also attended to a certain mission pertaining to the Nerubians recounted in Chapter 6, Civilizations. Okay, we'll read that soon. People and culture. Of the living, the most common creatures here are Nerubians. The entrance to Ajol Nerub sits near the north edge of the Dragonblight, just below Crystal Song Forest, and before the Scourge came, the Spider-Men wandered freely through this region, moving among the dragon corpses without a care. Now those who survived the War of the Spider found refuge up here using dragon bones for cover from Scourge patrols. They hatched plans to reclaim their kingdom, but lacked the numbers or the strength to succeed. Tauren live here as well, though only in one place. A pack of Ice Mist Tauren settled on the west edge of the Dragonblight on the shore of Lake Wintergrasp. They don't venture into the Blight proper very often, preferring the clean cold of the lake to this bitter air of doom and death. Can't say I blame them. Scourge creatures wander through here all the time. I think they're looking for ways to use the dragon remains, or searching for any artifacts the dragons left behind. Since they can't pass through Crystal Song Forest, the Dragonblight also provides the only route to the east of Northrend, unless they want to scale the Storm Peaks. Most of the Scourge creatures lurk near the northwest corner, close to Icecrown Glacier. Some blue dragons live here as well. They tend their fallen kin and pay their respects. The dragons live in Wormrest Temple, down toward the southern shore. They communicate regularly with their kin in Koldara. I think they rotate, though, through, since even a dragon can stand only so much of this gloom. Geography. Most of the Dragonblight is a single valley sloping southward to the Shiverwind coast. Low hills rise along the sides, taller to the east, where they butt up against the Grizzly Hills in Zuldrak. To the north, a thin line of tall, sharp-edged cliffs breaks the land where Icecrown Glacier begins. The western edge borders Lake Wintergrasp, and the ground there is low and even and frozen solid. Okay. Many animals live here, feeding off the dragon's remains. Birds, bears, spiders, wolves, and bats all tear at the remains or at each other. I saw Wendigo and Sasquatch and heard the cries of a warg pack as well. Strange that a communal graveyard should support so much life, but I suppose the dragons would find it appropriate. Thanks to the Scourge, undead animals wander here as well, killing and converting the living where they can. Lake Wintergrasp. Okay, so this is being considered as a subzone of the Dragonblight. The largest body of water in all Northrend, this frozen lake sits midway up and just west of the Dragonblight proper. I don't know if the lake has always been frozen. It probably has, since Ice Crown Glacier is right above it. Frozen lake is a misnomer, of course. The surface is frozen solid, and you can walk across it and even drag a small cart if it's not too full, yet beneath that sheet of ice water flows. So cold it'll suck the heat from you in minutes if you're lucky, and so blue it rivals a clear evening sky. The Tauren cut holes in the ice and speared the fish swimming beneath. It's bitterly cold near the water, and the wind can slice right through you, but it's nice to know that not everything in the Dragonblight is dead or feeding off death. Sites and settlements. The Dragonblight is an eerie place, and I know I wouldn't want to live here. Everywhere you look, you see dead dragons and their remains. Most of the creatures here shelter beneath or behind or even within dragon carcasses. A few dig shallow pits into the valley wall or settle beneath the rotted trees that dot the landscape. The region has only 2 settlements of any real size. Everything else is a single family or a small band, a pack at best. So there's Ice Mist Village, which is in the game in retail. Small village. This Tauren outpost perches on the edge of Lake Wintergrasp. It's a pleasant enough town, surprisingly so given its setting, and the Tauren are friendly and helpful. Most travelers in Northrend stop here when passing in this direction, so you can always find someone with whom to trade or share information over a drink. The Tauren keep a ready supply of food, drink, clothes, and basic tools and sell them to anyone in need. They even give things away if people are desperate, and I've seen them drag in travelers they found collapsed on the lake or in the surrounding area. Tundra Coldhoof oversees the village. There's kind of picture of this motif here with a Tauren and some dragon bones. Wormrest Temple, set in the Blight's southwest. This structure dominates the landscape for 2 reasons. First, it is massive and impressive. The second reason for the structure's dominance is its inhabitants, past and present. The Titans built the temple, though no one alive knows why. It looked out upon the dragons to the north and the ocean to the south. The Titans have long since vanished, of course, and now the temple occupants are dragons. Blue dragons. I believe they monitor the Dragonblight, set to the needs of those dragons arriving here to die, and commune with the spirits of those dragons already departed. The dragons allow non-dragon visitors up to the temple, but not within, so I have no idea what the interior looks like. It is half as impressive as the exterior, if it is. This is the most beautiful building in all of Northrend. I still don't think we know why. They didn't talk about it in Dawn of the Aspects. And actually, we should have jumped over here. We have an aside for Tundra Coldhoof, who is a druid warrior. This Tauren cuts an imposing figure using her long horns, her carved halberd, and a wolf at her side. Tundra is a gentle soul who welcomes travelers to Ice Mist Village as they arrive, making sure the wounded and weary receive whatever care is necessary. Tundra is no weakling, as those who have abused her hospitality have learned, but she is more inclined to talk than to fight. In battle, she fires her bow, releases her wolf Graven to worry an opponent's legs, and then uses her spells to summon more help, or charges in herself. And the history. Nothing particularly noteworthy has happened in the Dragonblight, save for a bunch of dragons dying. That is not true at all. As a matter of fact, one thing that's seriously lacking, because we are cutting the Alliance and the Horde out of this, is the major Alliance and Horde centers that lead here up to the Wrathgate. They're not talking about the Wrathgate either. This is one of the most iconic zones and experiences in the Wrath of the Lich King because of the cinematic and the storyline that builds up to that. It's kind of like setting us to the halfway point of the expansion. Adventures. The Dragonblight seems peaceful at first, just a giant graveyard. It is not, however. Nerubians stalk the valleys, scourge creatures patrol it, dragons protect it, and other creatures scavenge through it. Hail Deathwing. The ancient black dragon Deathwing returns to Northrend. He lands in the Dragonblight at the foot of Wormrest Temple and announces that he is close to death and wishes to end his life here with the others already present. Many of the Blues are furious that their ancient enemy would claim such an honor here. Others admire his willingness to set aside the past. The non-dragons are simply excited at the idea that such a powerful dragon is here. The Lich King wants to corrupt him and make him undead. The Nerubians want to enlist him in their cause and unleash him upon the Scourge before he dies. Scavengers want his bones and flesh. Treasure hunters want his skin and claws and any items he carries. The heroes need to keep the situation from escalating into a multi-sided war. Could never happen. One, he's way too important. He's not going to die. All of this, that you got to scratch that. That would never, ever. Maybe, I guess, the conception of just how important Deathwing is in the greater lore has not, didn't sink into this writer's thing. But sure, in your campaign, do whatever you want. He could be faking it. I guess add that little caveat at the end. Okay, cool. We got another episode of Pipe 5x5. I hope that you enjoyed it. Hopefully you're having fun with this weird, non-canonical type stuff. And I look forward to seeing you all next time on Lore of Warcraft.